You don't have to be an attention seeker in order to have obsessed, envious, jealous individuals stalk and attempt to harass you on a daily basis. You don't have to be somebody who wants to be seen or heard or in the limelight or seek other people's approval or be a people pleaser in order to have a cult and coven or individuals who are into low vibrational practices or dark practices by way of hate and jealousy of third parties and exes and envious of you living your life and attempting to remove you out of the way or get initiated into a bigger group, a darker cult or coven with resources, and having had already committed fraud and other crimes in your name and trying to remove you and stopping at nothing and trying to win at all costs and trying to remove you and erase you and get you out of the way so that your ex no longer thinks of you or uh, um, desire an exit strategy of leaving the new person who was obsessed and wanting to erase you and move you out of the way. And if this person belongs to a particular fraternity or has a particular title or backing in society and has historically abused and misused their positions and title in order to get ahead by stepping on other people and moving other people out of the way and lying and defaming others and abusing their positions and have gotten away with it. And you couple that and add on dark magic or black magic or evil magic or low vibrational practices by way of lying, cheating, and stealing in order to get ahead and moving people out of the way and destiny swapping. You don't have to be an attention seeker when you're dealing with this type of energy, when you're dealing with this type of person, this type of mentality, these type of groups that trauma band together and commit these atrocities. You could simply be living your own life, minding your own business, and you can even run 1,000,000 miles in the other direction. Switch locations, change states, change cities, change jobs, change careers, change locations, new career path, training path, etc. You can do your best where most people on the sidelines will say, you know, you got to switch it up. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, or, nobody is after you. Why would anybody be concerned with what you got going on? Nobody want you, your time, or your energy, but you on the sideline. You don't understand that there are sinister, corrupt individuals who are so obsessed, envious, hateful, petty, spiteful, that you can run 1,000,000 miles in the other direction. And it's easy to say, if that happened to me, I'll be quick to grab the tool or I'll do this. It couldn't be me because I would have been it. But that's how they want you to handle it. When you have a whole army of hundreds, if not thousands of people stalking on a daily basis, yeah, you're right. It couldn't be you. It couldn't be your story. Therefore, you couldn't begin to understand what one had to go through, what their spiritual path and journey and their divine mission and blueprint and purpose is all about. Because you're on the sideline. It couldn't be you to go up against an entire army of narcissists and miserable individuals who want to create demise in other person's lives. People who have sacrificed innocent souls, even their family members, throwing them under the bus so they can fit in and get initiated into a bigger group that's connected to human trafficking at the end of the day. Yeah, you don't understand the larger picture and the blueprint of what's really going on. So it's easier to quarterback from the sideline and put your 2 cents in and give your opinion and believe that people are attention seeking when really they are simply trying to change the dynamic and the course and the direction of the status quo of these demonic groups and organizations that have professional people, corrupt professional people participating by way of what they can gain and receive. These individuals who feel comfortable and feel good at the status that they have achieved by joining these criminal networks and being a part of these underworld sinister groups and these sex retreats and these parties and these celebrations and popping champagne and the things that they are able to do at the demise of innocent souls, able to have connections with probate court because of corrupt clerks and corrupt magistrates and corrupt attorneys and corrupt DAs, and able to know who has estates and wills and trusts left to them. And instead of them informing them, they choose to commit mail fraud or unlawfully and illegally change documentations. And if they have family members that's a part of these fraternities, where Luciferians have weaseled their way into these groups that were meant for good and positive in the community, but these Luciferians weasel their way into these fraternities now, and opposed to taking a good man and good woman and making them better, they now are trying to sacrifice a good man and a good woman for life insurance schemes and fraud, or stealing estates and trusts that was long overdue to them, or stealing their person or somebody that is interested, a divine path, a divine union, but they rather be with that person over you. So it's layers and levels to this entire thing that is far beyond the normal, what you can perceive, that a person is simply attention seeking. That couldn't be further from the truth. A person want to live a peaceful life, mind their business and do what they got to do without any type of attention whatsoever. But when the attention comes and it refuses to go away, and you got to deal with obsessed, deranged, delusional, hateful copycats, and individuals who hate themselves, individuals who wear a mask and wear a smile, a smiling liar, a charming devil, an individual who have to fake their way through. On paper and on record, they have all the accolades, all the achievements, all the accomplishments. They might smell good and dress good or whatever the case may be, but inside there's something empty and corrupt. There's something that they had refused to develop. They rather steal it and take it from everybody else, bite bits and pieces of everybody else's personality and character traits that they see as valuable, but yet despise the very individuals who they biting off of, stealing from, copycatting. They want to remove them out of the way while they steal and absorb their energy, steal and absorb their character traits, steal and absorb their personality traits. So yes, it's a real thing for people to live their life, mind their business, not seek attention, and yet people are absorbing and attempting to harvest, siphon, steal, latch on to their energy, bask in their energy, and become a better version than them, live their life, their destined path for them by removing them, yet basking in their energy, siphoning their energy. And yes, there is technology, devices, and frequencies that these clowns and cowards who stalk, who follow, the same ones who create this whole public lie. They're weird. They don't fit in. They're a square. They don't belong with us. They can't fit in with us. But yet these are the same idiots that are thirsty for that person's energy and will stalk them everywhere they go, commit federal stalking across state lines in order to remain in close proximity, hang out around their job, hang out outside of their apartment, their house, wherever, even outside of the shelter, wherever they may be, because most likely these type of individuals are driven into isolation because you don't have a department that is standing up for people, that's actually doing something about the problem. So these people, by way of the lies and the defamation and trying to ruin their reputation and their career, ends up in isolation. So you'll have the same corrupt, sinister groups paying off staff members and working with staff members, and staff members participating and hanging outside these shelters and community centers and are also volunteering to become volunteers, slapping on the t-shirts of reputable charities and community centers, and the very criminal networks are now weaseling their way in, and they passing out sandwiches now. And you ask them, oh, how long you been around? Oh, we've been around for 15 years, 13 years. Yeah. The charity, the legitimate charity, the reputable charity been around for 15 years. But you devils that just slapped on the t-shirts belong to a sinister, corrupt network that just popped up. Same cars, same license plates, that was stalking in a completely different city and town, a completely different county. Now you end up over here in this county. Aren't you the same group of people that was stalking in Gwinnett County and in Cobb County, and now you're in Fulton County? How you been around for 15 years with this specific charity? You ended up weaseling your way into this particular church, into this particular community, into this particular neighborhood. And if there was a separate department that was on top of their game investigating, it would be easy to see that it's the same group bouncing from county to county, city to city, state to state, same car, same license plates, even when they interchangeably take the license plates off of one vehicle and slap it on another vehicle, or they try to paint up the vehicle with advertisement and marketing, or they add a hitch with some ladders onto a vehicle to dress it up to make it seem like they're regular 9-to-5ers, hardworking citizens in the community. Or they are so arrogant, these narcissists, they'll even order DoorDash, and they'll have the same so-called targeted individual deliver food to their location all throughout Gwinnett County or Cobb County. Yeah. So people don't have to seek attention in order for envious, obsessed, deranged individuals who want to live in their skin, absorb their special energy. If you acknowledge that there are certain people walking around who hold special golden healing, sexual potent, etc. energy, that these clowns and cowards, minions and flunkies will go everywhere that this individual go in order to be in close proximity, because in order to truly harvest the energy, you have to be in close proximity, especially if you're using specific devices and technology that requires you to be in close proximity. So a person could say, well, I'm going to get up and change careers. I'm going to change city and state. I'm going to bounce. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get away. And then the same clowns and devils stalk wherever that person go. That person is not seeking attention if that person is trying to go in the opposite direction. There's these clowns and these bullies and these sellouts and these cult members, these coven members that are seeking their attention while they say they don't fit in with us, but yet they are desperately thirsty vampires that have to be around them. Make it make sense. It's backwards, ain't it? They don't fit in. Okay, I don't fit in. I don't want to fit in. I don't want to be a part of your dumbass club. But then you won't go away. Everywhere I go, you pop up. And again, if there was honorable agencies, investigators, agents that was actually honoring their oath of office, it wouldn't be that difficult to put a ribbon in a bow on this case and on many cases like it. You will see the systemic epidemic, the problem in the community, that you have sinister, corrupt organizations and individuals that is participating in federal stalking, participating in harassment, participating in mail fraud, life insurance schemes, PPP loan frauds, taking things out in other people's name, unlawfully changing documentations in the court systems, creating fake court cases. It all boils down to money and energy, because energy is money, right? But then you're also dealing with all the commissioned spells, incantation, death magic, poverty spells that they pay big money for to also help assist in removing a person. But they don't account for that this energy returning and backfiring. And when that begins to happen, instead of these idiots and clowns shutting it down, going away, licking their wounds, accepting, we went far enough. We thought it was a joke in a game, but it's not. It's not funny no more. Let's just go mind our business, shut it down, regroup, and just try to be better people. No, these idiots double down and try to go further and do more and pay for more magic and more death spells and more poverty spells and more sickness. You don't know the half. Even with slipping stuff in people food, and then amazed when the person rise the next day. They feel the energy that's coming. They know what they participated in was the most atrocious, egregious, spiteful, hateful, diabolical, and evil that you could ever participate in. And they know there's consequences for what they've done. Even though they act and pretend like everything is fine and normal. And as long as they get to hide upstairs and behind walls and tippy-toe and eavesdrop like weirdos, that everything is going to balance itself out, that everything is going to be fine. Nah. We're in a day and time where the scales of justice is being balanced, must be balanced. Prophecy is unfolding. Divine planning is unfolding. Not like all the times before where people talk about prophecy and this and that. No, we are in those days and those times. Not before where people got a whole bunch of people riled up and, this is getting, this is happening. This, no. We are in the days and times where you can see, by way of people's devices and technology, the crafts and the three-eye atlases and the different events taking place. And you have objects coming from outside of our solar system and star system, from outside into our star system, bouncing around, going to the sun, then bouncing to Jupiter, then bouncing over to Mars, then bouncing back, then, being intelligently guided. The angels don't move by way of wings flying through space. Come on, let's be practical. When you talk about the Most High and you talk about, beings coming from outside or heaven being up there, you ask any religious person, where's heaven? It's up there where? It's up there, it's out there. So in other words, it's up there beyond space and time, right? Because it's not in the clouds. Heaven is not on earth or within earth's realm. It's up there, out there, outside of earth, right? That means it would be, in order to get there, you would have to travel through space and time some kind of way. You would have to get out of the earth and go to space some kind of way in order to get to what you perceive to be heaven, which is a haven, which is also a docking station or a resting point for ships or crafts or boats or a vessel, right? This is heaven, comes from what is known as a haven, which is a docking or a resting point or station. So when you're talking about a haven, you're talking about crafts or ships, right? And so when it say it's up there, out there, that means that who you perceive as God or the Most High or the angels are extra to your terra by way of the astral, which is the stars. So you're saying that they are extra terra astral, extraterrestrials, right? That's another way of saying God or anything that is outside the Earth's atmosphere. It is extra to terra, which is one of the original words for Earth, right? Gaia, Terra, and then astral, we know as stars, right? So it is extra to Terra by way of the astral, the stars. So you're saying extraterrestrials. So you're talking about crafts, ships. When you say the chariots of the divine, when you're saying Ezekiel saw the wheel way up in the middle of the air, Ezekiel saw the wheel way in the middle of the air. You're saying that there were visions of objects that was changing colors and moving about the sky before they had understanding of planes, etc. And so you're saying that the angels or the angelos or the Elohim, they travel by way of ships. The archangels and the more advanced ones are etheric in nature, and they can move about freely through time, space, and dimensions in the various levels and layers of existence without a ship or a craft. Archangel Michael is also an Etherian. The Most High is an Etherian. And they can travel without a ship, but in their true essence, in the form that they exist in their physical form that they exist in on that realm, they use or travel by way of crafts. And they reside on Planet X or Nibiru, or what is known as Planet X or known as Nibiru, which is 3.5 times the size of the planet Earth. It's its own self-containing ship, which is a craft, but it's also a planet ship that makes its way around every 25,000 years. And these beings are the gods and goddesses of your Bible and Quran from the Middle East, Mesopotamia, Chaldea, Ur. These are the gods and goddesses, the angels of Abraham and Moses, and even Prophet Muhammad. And these are your gods and goddesses, these beings that come off this craft or that on these crafts. For better or worse, like it or not, these are the ones who created your history, your story, your religious stories. Whether you like it or not, accept it or not, believe it or not, the reason why they C4 and blow up the statues and the remnants of that was left behind over there in Iraq, in the Middle East, blowing up the half man, half bull and the reptilian statues, trying to erase the history of these overlords and these gods and these beings that came down from the stars and mixed in their DNA with primordial beings in order to create you mortals that, eventually became the different experimentations. And so you have to understand these beings are not just beings with wings that fly around. These beings come by crafts, a whole fleet, a whole army, a whole navy, whatever you want to call it. And these are the very beings that you speak of when you open up these books. And when you speak of the history and the wars that took place in the heavens that spilt over onto other planets such as Mars and Earth, and the wars that took place, the battles and the beefs between certain ones of these beings, and how they chased each other around and ended up here. So no, a person does not have to seek attention in order to have obsessed, deranged, jealous individuals follow them everywhere they go, trying to win at all costs. If you knew the complete story, the full story, and the reasons why people do the things they do, and why you have exes that feel like prisoners by way of the choices they made, and you have family members that commission and pay for spell work and try to create hardships in their family members' lives so they can hold on to monies and real estate and things of that nature that don't belong to them, or a whole group was promised a payout. And even without the money, because of their envy and hatred and jealousy and petty ways, they much rather see somebody struggle because they don't like a person. They would love to just join in and participate in creating somebody else's demise. All of that is draining energy, siphoning energy, harvesting energy, creating hardships so a person can't focus on their overall well-being and being able to support themselves financially or take care of their overall health and psyche and be clear-minded. All of that is part of draining and siphoning a person's energy by way of the atrocious activities on a daily basis around the clock. All of that is meant to drain, siphon, harvest, lower the frequency and the vibrations of that individual and their focus so they can now come in by way of the practitioner and have that entity attachment latched on, be able to truly harvest and destiny swap. That's the whole point of it all. That's what it leads to. That's what it's all for. And a person doesn't have to request that. A person doesn't have to ask for that. A person doesn't have to seek that for these devils to go out of their way to try to force that onto their so-called victim and targeted individuals. It's just something they do out of the hate and malice and jealousy of their own heart. So let's be aware that not everybody's plight and divine calling would necessarily be readily understood. And we may not always know the ins and the out and the full scope, the full picture of what somebody else is going through or what the divine has placed in front of that person as a part of their divine purpose and mission and blueprint that is going to benefit the rest of you who may be on the sidelines, not fully understanding or accepting the full, complete, bigger picture of what's unfolding. And so, because it's something that you may not have experienced to that extent, because we all experience something, we all go through something, we all have trials and tribulations and hardships, etc. But some people's divine blueprint, plan, and mission might be far greater than can be readily understood. You may even want to debate that, but the fact that it's not understood how a person can run 1,000,000 miles in the opposite direction and still have a bunch of devils, envious, obsessed, energy draining vampires commit federal stalking across state lines to try to win at all costs and hold on to that individual's energy and not want to let it go because it creates wealth and abundance and healing, etc. It just goes to show that people don't always understand the bigger picture of what's going on. So from the outside looking in, it may look like a person might be seeking or wanting and desiring something that they never asked for, that a bunch of idiots and sellouts and clowns initiated themselves into in order to implement that and place it on that person. But the divine has a plan. These cowards, clowns, sellouts has a plan. But the divine is the best of planners.